It's the Daily Comedy News with your host, Mark Pires. Join us for breaking headlines and all kinds of comedy shenanigans. Brought to you by The Beat Seat.
Good morning, my friends. Good morning. Welcome to day 1975 in a row, the longest running daily variety show on earth, the MarkinsPires show. I got an interesting story for you today. I don't know where it's going to go. I didn't read it at all, but the title got me, and I just think I didn't really know anything about this. I want to know a little bit more. People who were stuck in comas are sharing what it was actually like, and I truly have no words. So when I saw that, I was like, well, geez, what the freaking heck? You know what I mean? So I want to see. Apparently there's some stories here from some people who've gone through coma. They've come out of it, and then they have a story to share about what was happening while these people were assuming they were completely comatose and out of it. So let's read the story. Let's see what happens in these Reddit threads. Why is this not working? Can we get a signal here? Are we even on? I don't even know. That's what happens here when you are trying to get internet. Do we have internet? What are we talking about over here? Trying to refresh, that's not working. Nothing's working. Okay, here we go. We're back. In these Reddit threads by You Watch What You're Looking At Boy and Yummy Gumdrop and Bread Boy. From a while back, people shared how they ended up in a coma and what their experience was like. And let me tell you, I learned a lot. And it's not like what you see on TV. Here are a few of the most fascinating and wildest stories. J.E., how are you, my friend? Good to see you. See, J.E. says he knows about the coma stories. I haven't. I've never seen any of these coma stories, so I'm actually kind of excited a little bit to see what it's about. Let me see if I can fix this first and foremost here. What do we got going on? This has got to go like, there we go. Right, J.E.? Now we're dealing with a good-looking screen. Here we go, back to it. The coma story. Zabrowski. I'm sorry, I thought we were getting a woohoo. So let's get into this first story. I was in a coma for 4 days. When I woke up, everyone was talking about the baby boy I had. I had my long-term memory. I had lost my long-term memory and didn't even remember being pregnant. My son was at the Children's Hospital in the NICU. I delivered him via C-section at 29 weeks. All this was due to me having Crohn's disease, which I found out about after I woke up. My colon had ruptured during my pregnancy. My husband said I was talking like a child when I first woke up. When I woke up, I felt super tired, but then the next few days was kind of restless. I remembered one conversation my mom had with the nurse while I was under. After a couple days, I got my long-term memory back and remembered everything up to my surgery and then nothing until I woke up. My son was my third surgery, so my son was what surprised me. Anyway, I don't know. Let's see what the next story is. Hopefully it's better than that one. A friend of mine was in a 6-month coma after an accident. Afterward, he made sure to tell everyone around him to talk to people in a coma because they can hear you. But he noted that they should always tell the person in a coma what happened, where they are, and what's happening to them, because he said that's his moments of lucidity were mixed up some truly horrifying dreams. So he had these dreams while he was hearing people talk in the room with him. Zabrowski, can you hit us with a woohoo, please? Woohoo! Thank you, buddy. So that is interesting. So if someone is in a coma, don't just say, I love you, we're here for you. Explain, hey, just so you know what's going on right now, you were in a car wreck and you're currently in a coma. Hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully you can hear us. We're here. You can feel our love. So that's very interesting and great advice right there from this 6-month coma victim. Number 3, I spent 8 days in a coma last year after a particularly traumatic surgery. My waking thoughts were wondering if I died or even made it. I couldn't open my eyes and I was on a medical air mattress, so I felt like I was floating. This led me to think that I had died. I remember thinking it wasn't so bad and wondering if my dad would come find me. Once I realized that I was still alive, I thought I might have been injured in fighting in a war and worried my wife might not know I was still alive. Trying to communicate with the nurses while intubated and drugged was very difficult. What I learned later from my wife is that she was there the whole time And while I was fighting against the doctors and nurses, I would immediately calm down and cooperate when she held my hand and sang to me. It still brings tears to my eyes to think the love and devotion she has shown me during this time. That's really very nice to see right there. Number 4, a friend of ours fell into a coma at 25 and woke up at the age 36. That's 11 years. 11 years in a coma. She was a Rhodes Scholar nominee, I think secondhand information, and quite brilliant. She was still 25 mentally, as if everything was just on pause. Her body was really well preserved. She's really fun and cool and sort of the ultimate cougar. Plus, she totally woke up the internet. Okay, not much more to that story. What the hell? I want to hear, like, how did you hear people talking and, placing bets on when you're getting out of the coma? I was in a coma for 11 days with severe brain injury. I don't remember being in a coma or waking up from a coma. I lost several years of memories prior to the coma, and my brain didn't really start to retain information again until about 6 weeks after I came out of the coma. I'm told that my personality changed afterwards. I had to rebuild most areas of my life. It sucked. But it probably is a good thing, although I'd be lying to say I'd never wondered what my life would be like if I'd never been in a coma. Number 6, this is really bizarre, but my uncle, a very serious, strict, and rather dry man, had an accident and went into a coma a few years back. He never believed anything could touch. He never believed anything he couldn't touch. No talks about souls or anything similar, but he was in a coma for a few weeks until he woke up and had this crazy as F story. He said he saw himself in a bubble, floating around in a white place, and it was peaceful and beautiful. But then he said there were other bubbles he could see around him that had other people in them. He distinctly remembered a black-haired woman singing in the bubble closest to him, until one day his bubble burst and she disappeared, or her bubble burst. When he woke up, he could give a very clear description of her body, age, and all that. Now here's the wild part. There was a woman 1 floor below him in a coma who sadly passed away before he woke up. You guessed it, black hair, age, body, all correct. He'd never met or seen this woman in his life. His whole idea of life changed after this. It still makes me think sometimes, where was he? He thinks all the people in the bubbles around him were patients in the same hospital. Could it be? We'll probably never know, but that is a pretty interesting one. All these people in bubbles around him, one of them, the bubble pops, she disappears, and the lady died in the hospital right below him, a floor below. Same hair, same look. I wonder if, can you show him pictures of her, like when she wasn't in a coma, and say, is this the lady you saw? I was in a coma for 3 days after a car accident where I hit my head. Pretty much, I was driving, and then I saw the color purple, and then I woke up 3 days later. There really was nothing. It's not even like sleeping, because you wake from sleeping. You know you were asleep. It was like blinking. 1 second you were doing something, then the next second, totally different. I do have a vague memory of being on a table with a cute guy wiping my nose, and it really hurt bad. I remember saying, "You're super cute," but that's all. I believe that was before I went into a coma after the accident. I had a brain bruise or something like that, and it caused my speech problems for about 6 months afterwards. That was Sharm's 2010. Number 8 on the list of went into a coma, and this is what was going down. My friend was in a coma about 10 years ago for roughly 3 weeks after a car accident. When he woke up, he visited, and when I was alone with him, he told me it was like a lucid dream. The real world was gone, and he felt like he was in a world where he could create himself for years. He was dead serious, too. He said he talked on and on about how he had this slight understanding of he was not in the real world anymore and that he thought he might be in heaven. He felt like he was actually dying, or his last few seconds had just stretched on and on forever. He mentioned that he could fly in the coma dream and that it was amazing. He spent a little while in the hospital, then back home, did physical therapy about 2 weeks later before dying by suicide. So he took his own life? Scares me that he thought that that was more real than this life, or he wanted that more and he thought he could go back to it or something. Number 9, I was in a coma for 4 days from bacterial meningitis. When I woke up, I was completely deaf. I had to communicate with my parents and doctors with a notepad and pen. Some hearing gradually returned to my left ear, but my right ear is still 100% deaf to this day. Wow, that is terrible. After being in a really bad accident that left one of my good friends, the driver, dead, brain dead, they put me into a chemically induced coma for under a week to prevent brain damage due to the swelling. When I first woke, my memory was much better than it was as I gradually faded into the days to come. I have a journal. My mother recorded things. I recalled many things I shouldn't have. immediately after waking up. Today I have very little memory of it, but I can definitely say that having positive people around you helps when you're in a situation like that. If you have a friend in this situation, don't disregard them. Even though your life has moved on, they may wake up one day on their own, in their own mind, not that day, not a day has passed since the last conversation that you had with them. So that's very interesting. You could be living 10, 11 years, somebody's been in a coma, they wake up and they feel like they just saw you yesterday. So don't give up on your friends and the people that you love if they wind up in a coma for some reason. A couple things we've learned so far is make sure you speak to them often and make sure you let them know where they are, the state that they're currently in. They're laying there and they think they're dreaming, maybe they're not even aware at all, but there's a chance they are, so you should tell them you're in a coma. I just want you to know you're at this hospital. We're here with you. You have great doctors and nurses taking care of you. You have nothing but love from the people in your life. I'm here with Joan and with Derek and everybody else, and we just want you to know we love you and get through this safe, but you are in a coma. Let them know over and over because they don't know. There's a couple people here that were like, I was freaked out. I thought I was in a war and all these things. Speak to them. Let them know. Be very clear because maybe it's not clear whether or not they're even aware, conscious, but speak to them. Let them know where they are. So, my girlfriend of 6 years, sort of fiance, was in a severe car crash when she was 16. Both of her best friends died instantly. She was the only survivor, but they didn't think she would make it. She was in a coma for 9 months, and she was in what we call a waking coma. She returned normal periods of sleep and open-eyed wakefulness, but no higher brain functions. Here are some of the things about her experience. She doesn't have any memories of the year prior to the year of the crash, and obviously no memories of the car crash itself. She suffered a TBI, traumatic brain injury. When she first got out of the coma, she would get naked and sexual with people and anger very easily. These are common problems of people who suffer from TBI. She went back to school after the coma, but her brain was still not healed. She was held back another year because her brain was not retaining anything. Today, she is a wonderful, bright 30-year-old with a college degree. She has a slight speech impediment, gets frustrated easier than most, and it took her a little while longer to get the driving down. Honestly, she still scares the hell out of me when she drives, but there are worse drivers out there. So this is a guy about his girlfriend / fiance. So this is a little weird. He's talking about it. He's like, yeah, she's banging it out with everybody. You know, she's out there getting sexual with everybody, like taking off her clothes, and that's a tough one. I'm glad he stuck with her and helped her find her clothing. I was in a coma for close to 6 weeks. When I woke up, I had to learn everything again. Most of my speaking abilities were gone. My motor control was horrid. I had to figure out how to wipe my hiney butt, as well as how to walk up and down stairs again. That took about 3 weeks. I'd lost a ton of weight too. I was 6'3" and weighed about 145 pounds. That is like scary skinny. 145 at 6'3"? I'm 6 feet tall, and like 175, 180 is where I should be. A little bit more than that right now, but that's where I should be. 145? That's scary skinny. Number 13, my mom was in an induced coma for 3 months. Just want to say hi to everybody here on Clapper. Casey Boo, Gustavo, Taylor Allen, how are you? Tyler Allen, how are you, my friend? Heidi Scott, awesome to see you guys. If you want to head over to YouTube, you can see these stories over my shoulder. YouTube, X, Rumble, Facebook, Twitch, we're on all of them. DLive, just type in MarkinsPires, and you get to see the stories. Plus, it's a much better audio and visual experience, the video experience, all HD. My mom was induced. We did this one. When she woke up, she thought the hospital was trying to kill her. She tried to get out of bed. She fell to the floor because she couldn't walk. She was mostly freaked out about how her feet had lost their form. They were humped over from not being used. Every muscle she had to learn to use again. She couldn't talk well. She couldn't write at all. She has different handwriting after relearning. She said she hated how perfect her hands looked. Her nails and cuticles were perfect and clean from not being used. I remember trying to brush her hair after she woke up, and almost all of it fell out. And she almost died pretty much every day she was in her coma. She had sepsis from diverticulitis. Surgery had gone wrong. A lot of her hair has grown back. She can walk, but her brain damage, it makes it very hard. She's like she's drunk. She's always dizzy. It's been 5 years now, and her recovery has been miraculous. I don't know if that's a miracle. Like, where's the miracle of the recovery if she's still dizzy all the time and acts like she's drunk? The fact that she's with you, I guess, is the miracle, because it sounds like she wasn't doing well. But that's a tough one right there. She walks around dizzy all the time, sounds like she's drunk, and she hasn't fully recovered. She still has brain damage. So my heart goes out to that family. I held my grandfather's hand while he was comatose on his deathbed. I spoke in his ear, my feeling toward him and the effect he had on my life. I swear he could hear me because he squeezed my hand during some of the more heartfelt things I said to him. Even typing this now strongly reminds me of that experience. It's making me cry. People can hear you. Never lose the chance to say what you need to say to them. I think that's a very important thing. We all lose those that we love. And you never get to say all the things you want to say. You never do. So even if it's in a coma and they're still here in this earthly plane in some weird comatose state, say it, get it all off your chest, let them know how the impact they had on your life. Again, let them know they're in a coma. Let them know that they're someplace in a different realm or in a different dimension, but that you got love for them. Number 15, I was out for 45 days, no white light, no tunnel, nothing. I woke up and couldn't remember who I was for 6 months, never fully recovered. So I just started life again. Turns out I'm a completely different person than I was, and that's a really good thing. I get memories now and then that aren't very pleasant. A woman came and sat by my bed for 6 weeks. Turned out she was my ex-lover. I couldn't remember her. I also didn't even recognize my mother. I was in a medically induced coma. This is number 16 on the list. Full body paralysis for 6 weeks. There were a handful of times that I could distinctly remember where I woke up in my head. What was the experience like? It sucked. When I woke up in my head, I had no idea as to what had happened, so I'm fully conscious. I know that I'm me, but I can't open my eyes. I can't move a muscle, and I can't speak. Imagine that, guys. Total paralysis. I remember once falling asleep, and they have this sleep paralysis. Have you guys ever had this before? I fell asleep, or I was asleep. I woke up, and I'm looking up at the ceiling. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't speak, and I felt like something was holding me down. For the longest time, I thought there was like a ghost holding me down because I was like, I'm looking like this, and I'm trying to move. I'm looking up at the ceiling. I'm like, move! I remember thinking to myself, move! And I couldn't freaking move anything. It was the scariest moment. And I was being held down, pinned down by something. I was like 19 years old. And I just was like, all of a sudden, after like 10 seconds of staring at the ceiling, I was able to move. But it was like I was held down for 10 seconds. It was really weird. But imagine that's not the case at 10 seconds. Imagine it's like 6 months, 6 weeks this girl had this going on. She couldn't move a muscle, couldn't speak. The first time I had it happen, I was terrified. I started to panic for a minute, and I thought I might be dead. Then I realized that I was thinking, so that didn't seem right. I tried to move, and I couldn't. I tried to speak, and I couldn't. I tried to scream, and I couldn't. Oh, such a frightening moment. I had my eyes open at least. This lady's got her eyes closed, couldn't do anything. She's laying there fully conscious, awake in her mind, not awake. Her body's fully in a comatose state while her mind is fully awake. This is creepy. The next time it happened to me, I was with my best friend and she came to see me. Again, I can't move, I can't see, I can't talk, but when I woke up in my head, I could feel her holding my hand and asking me to squeeze. If I could hear her talking, I tried as hard as I could to squeeze my hand. I could feel it doing absolutely nothing. When she would let go to go walk away, I was completely devastated. I tried to scream for her to stay. Don't leave, I'm here. But obviously, nothing happened. However, I was so glad that people I knew were there whenever I was able to and was getting help. I felt completely helpless, obviously, but this kind of helped. I had to calm myself down again so that I could drift off again. When I was finally brought out of my coma, my parents were there, and that didn't make any sense because my parents lived 2 states away at the time. I eventually learned that I had been there the entire time, 6 weeks. They dropped everything in their lives, came to be with me, and stayed there throughout the entire ordeal. Those are good parents. After a couple of days, I think some doctors came in and asked me a bunch of questions. The first question was, what year is it? That I knew because I remembered getting sick on New Year's Eve, so I was like, it's 2000. Next was, who was the president? I answered Clinton, so I got that right. Then they asked if I knew where I was. I assuredly said Honolulu, because in my dreams I'd been in Honolulu. When all of their faces had looked confused, Scooby-Doo-like, I realized that I wasn't right, so I figured I must have still been back in Salt Lake City. They appeared quite relieved when I came up with that. Oh, Louis Anderson. You guys remember Louis? He's freaking hilarious. Oh, goodness. Oh, the stream's been cutting out. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know why the heck that's going that way. It's just a YouTube thing. They like to kick me off the air. After 1975 days in a row, you think they'd let me just put on a show. But I'm still considered harmful by YouTube. Yeah. Isn't that amazing, guys? You go live for 1975 days in a row. I've been live, the MarkinsPires show on YouTube. They suppress and hold every piece of content I ever create from the world. They now have called me harmful. They've demonetized me. And all I do is create songs live in the moment and tell you guys the comedy news or tell you cool stories like this. And it's an uplifting positivity show where we connect, hopefully, to connect with as many people in the world as possible whenever I'm on the air every day of the year. So it's like Christmas and New Year's, Easter, all these days when people are like not doing something, I'm live, been live every day. And no one knows, unfortunately, but if they did, we'd have a place to connect, to get away from the negative world for a little while, to get away from the politics, to get away from the division and hatred that is completely being manufactured into every piece of content and into every FYP swipe. Religion, politics, money, it's all you'll ever see. You won't find a guy who wants to bring us together because they want to keep that guy from you. But I keep showing up. I think I'm stopping at 2,000 days in a row, just to be honest. I mean, I've done this for 1,975 days in a row. I can't get more than 7 people to watch me live. I can't get more than 15 people to come onto YouTube live. I see other people with hundreds of people that watch them live. I have a live creation show. I invented the only drum in the world for guitar players. It's called the Beat Seat. I patented this drum. It was selected Editor's Choice at Summer NAMM in 2019. My drum beat out Gibson and Martin and every other music company out there that had a new product. My drum, you see it back there, the Beat Seat. It's the only drum in the world you could sit and play your guitar and kick it. It sounds like a drum kit. If you don't have a guitar in your hand, it's the only drum in the world you can play with your hands and feet at the same time while sitting completely upright. You don't hurt your back playing my drum. There's a thing called a cajon. It's got 1 panel. My drum has 4 panels. My drum has 2 snares. A cajon has 1 snare and 1 panel. You get 2 tones from a cajon. I get unlimited tones from the Beat Seat. It's called omnitone. Everywhere you hit it, sounds different. Check it out at beatseat.rocks. Thank you, Diet. Appreciate you. Ah, goodness. So anyway, the show's been here. There is no script. I think that's what fears them most, is that they can't control me because I'm going to say how I feel. And that is something that's scary if you're trying to control a narrative, you're trying to push an agenda. You want people you know are going to speak your message, and I don't speak their message. Never have, never will. And this is why we're here after 1,975 days in a row to 7, 6, 8, 10, whatever. But like I said, can't do that any longer. I got to just go back to being a realtor 100%. And I gave this a freaking go. I sure did. 2,000 days in a row. You can't get to the world by then, buddy. You got to take a fucking cue. Number 18, I was in a coma for about 2 weeks following cardiac arrest as a teen. Was technically dead for over an hour, in fact, but people often ask if I could hear my family talking to me or if I was dreaming, you know. The answer is no. There's no huge hole in my memory beginning about 2 weeks before the coma through a week after waking up. And waking up in these quotes because I would wake up, ask a bunch of semi-incoherent questions, fall back under, then wake up again and ask the exact same stupid questions in the exact same order, repeat 6 or 7 times. The coma was not even blackness. I just didn't exist. I remember having the hardest time believing it was actually mid-October when the last thing I remembered was late September. This is a scary thing, guys, especially, you know, accidents. The reason they're called accidents, you can't stop an accident. Been a few times where like you look up and all of a sudden you're about to hit a car, you know, or here's a bad one. I used to play in New York City a lot. I've been a one-man band forever since I broke up my band in 2004. And then from there I was always creating on my own and doing all this live looping. So I was live looping in New York City, I think at Bitter End or something like that. The Lion's Den, whatever it was. And it's late, it's like 3 in the morning. And I used to do this all the time. I'd go down for my show at like 11, 11:30, whatever, and then I hang out and come back and get home around 2, 3 in the morning. Well, this night I'm driving home, I'm getting freaking tired, man. I was so tired. I remember it's like my eyes kept closing and I was like, what am I, like I'm opening the window, put my head out the window, driving 65 miles an hour on the Merritt Parkway coming up New York City to Connecticut. And I could not stay awake, slapping myself in the face. I even pulled over once, I'm doing jumping jacks. I'm getting close to home and I'm like, I'm almost there. I got off my exit. I'm less than a mile to my house. And this is the thing that they say. Most accidents happen within a mile of your home because you get comfortable. And you're like, good, I'm almost there. I'm good now. I start driving around the corner and up. And what it is this is about 700 yards from my driveway. Okay? I'm pulling up this hill. It's called Old Stamford Road. And as I come up the hill, there's a railroad overpass, the track that the New Canaan train comes over the top there, and you drive under that little section. And then about 7 more driveways up on the left is my driveway. As I'm coming up, and I remember I'm looking up at this underpass, as I'm getting closer to it, I closed my eyes. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the most peaceful moment in my life. I remember thinking I was so at peace. And I opened my eyes right as I was hitting the wall of that train underpass, of that overhang. At 45 miles an hour, whatever it was, up the hill. Slammed right into this thing as I'm opening my eyes. There was no way to get away from this accident. I was in the accident. The wake up from this peaceful, most peaceful moment of my life was hitting a fucking wall, man. You know how scary that is? That I was at peace and could have died right there in that very moment. I wake up to this crash, this explosion against the wall. My whole left side of the front end of my car is just freaking smushed. But I was at total peace right before. Our minds, man. I was so tired. 3 a.m, driving home. Bang. So scary. So accidents, you cannot stop an accident. And then something like this could happen. I could have banged into that wall, and then I was in this peaceful moment. And then maybe, or maybe not, come out of a coma somewhere down the line, and all I would have remembered was that peaceful moment right before I hit that fucking wall, man. This is crazy scary. So let's get back to other people who have dealt with a coma. But again, this whole accident thing, and please do me a favor, if you are tired and you're driving, pull over, close your eyes, take a nap. It's not worth it, man. I mean, that was one of the scariest moments of my life as I opened my eyes as I'm in a wall. I didn't have time to turn. I was at the wall. I was like, I think what happened is I hit the wall, and then I was like, peaceful moment. And I'm like seeing wall and like fire, not really, but like the sparks from this like banging up against the side of this cement wall. And thank goodness I didn't go at it like this. It would have just stopped me. I hit it and I just kind of like pinballed, you know what I mean, up the road there. And somehow, I don't even know, I mean, I was a 19-year-old kid. So somehow I drove that thing to my driveway, and I remember I couldn't turn left anymore. I couldn't turn left because I freaking destroyed the whole left side of the car. So as I got to the driveway, I put the car in reverse and turned it right so I could back in. And I backed into the freaking driveway. Because I realized, I'm like, first of all, I'm a 19-year-old kid, just ran into a wall here in this very prestigious town. I'm not some middle-aged guy this happened to, and then all of a sudden, regardless if that happens, they're gonna think there's alcohol involved or something. There wasn't. I never have been a drinker in my entire life. But I didn't want to get in trouble at all. I didn't know. I was a 19-year-old and this happened. I'm like, whoa. But I remember I woke up the next morning and I told my parents, I'm like, wrecked the car. They're like, are you okay? That was the thing that was the kind of interesting to me, and this is like, it just goes to show you what you fear and what your family fears. I remember when I told my parents the next morning what happened, they were like, they came over to me and they're like, are you all right? Like, what, are you all right? What's going on? Are you? And I was like, yeah, but the car, I was like crying. I was like, my car. And they're like, who cares about the car? A car can be replaced, your life cannot. And I thought in that moment it was like really amazing because yeah, I'm standing in front of you, but look at that freaking car. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that happened. My eyes closed, so tired. The car, are you all right? And I was like, man, just made you realize how much you're loved in moments like that. When people say, oh, your car, you think your car is so valuable? You think your car means something? It's nothing. It's just some freaking metal with an engine inside of it that gets you from A to B. Okay, something goes wrong with that. You can go get a Yugo. You can go get 50 other cars to get you from point A to point B. You can't get another life. You do not get another chance at this. This is a one day a shot go, every single day. And we have to somehow bring ourselves back to this moment because this world constantly forces us to think about the past. It constantly forces us to think about the future and keeps us away from the only thing that matters, which is this moment right here. It's the only moment where things can take place. We always like set schedules. Oh, well, in 3 weeks I have this appointment. That appointment's non-existent because that moment hasn't come yet. You're here in this moment. Instead of being in this moment, you're thinking about this future moment. And I'm writing, I got to make sure I'm there. What do I got to do for that? And you just spent 10 seconds away from the actual moment that exists. Yeah, we have to set schedules. I get that. But we have to somehow break away from this world and from the lies and all of the negativity and all of the division and all of the constant battering of religion, politics, and money in our FYP and separate to the moment. Get back to the moment and understand we're here together as the human race. We have one opportunity to come together and make something special happen. So that's basically all I can say. And that's why I've shown up for 1975, hoping that people understand I'm here in this moment. I don't have a script. I show up here every single day when I go live. I'm here in the moment. Whatever I'm doing is real. This is the most authentic show on planet Earth because I don't know where I'm going to go with this show at any time. I take out the guitar, pull out the drum, I start doing some crazy comedy on green screen. I don't know. But the point is, there's something exhilarating about being in the moment. And everything else seems so bleh. You know? I'm going to keep thinking about yesterday? Like, how is that even good for anybody? Yesterday took place, tomorrow hasn't happened yet, but we have this. This we do have. So, anyway, that's how I feel. Pamela Swan, how are you? So good to see you. And J.E., thank you guys for being here. Tuesday. I think that's, we did the Comas story here. I'll finish this last one, number 20. My wife was in a medically induced coma for 2 weeks about 10 years ago. When she woke up, she had very wrong memories. They were all based on conversations people had in the room with her. For example, she thought she had flown to Washington, D.C. for treatment. While she was in coma, my father-in-law mentioned how he had just flown back from D.C. on a work trip. Somehow she overheard this while out in her brain. It interpreted that she went to D.C. Even after we explained to her that reality was where she was, it took days for her to come to terms with reality. It sounds like there's 574 stories here. I'm not going to do this forever. Let's see, there's 30, 29. I honestly don't think any of them are that crazy. The one that I think was craziest was that one who woke up. She said, I was fully conscious in my comatose body. And that happened to her a few times. That's really scary, you know? Her best friend's there saying, squeeze my hand, and she's trying. She's trying. Nothing. So, anyway, that's basically what we have on the comatose news today. I do want to quickly cover Las Vegas alien video shows at least 2 beings using a cloaking device. This analyst is opening it up to peer review. There are at least 2 beings using some sort of cloaking device that landed in Las Vegas backyard, a veteran crime scene reconstruction analyst said. Scott Roder, who testified as an expert in some of the most highly publicized criminal cases in the world, broke down the video of a reported alien sighting in Las Vegas, frame by frame. In 1 second of real time, there are 30 frames that show a head with smoke around it, which Roder called some sort of cloaking device. Moving into the top right corner of the video and peering over the fence. I applied the same principles that I would apply to any kind of homicide investigation, Roder said, who testified on cases like Oscar Pistorius' murder trial. Remember, killed his girlfriend. That guy. We did a funny story on him last year because there were like notable people that were born on this day, and one of them was Oscar Pistorius. It was like gold medal. I was like, you mean murderer? They forgot the murderer part. They put the gold medal thing in there. I was like, they should update that and get rid of Pistorius. He should not be in there. And I think that was like Britannica. Britannica has like notable birthdays on a daily, and that was one of them, was Pistorius. I was like, these people are nuts. At this particular time, what we've seen here is a proof of a couple of things, that these entities are real. They're there. This is not fake, and this is not a fraud. Now, this is what he's pointing out. It's hard for me to see any of that. I mean, it looks blurry to me. Roder worked with Jim Quirk, a reporter who runs the Extraterrestrial Reality podcast, who shared videos and images of the Fox News Digital to recreate the scene, the Las Vegas backyard. April 30th, so it's just last month that this happened. I remember hearing about this, and I tried to watch the video. I just couldn't see anything. I wonder if we could watch the video here. I don't see a link to it. But what do you guys think? I know we're not alone, but what do you guys think? Curious to see what you think about that. Last detail, competitive eater Takehiro Kobayashi feels body is broken. Retires due to health issues. I've decided to retire from competitive eating. I've done all I can for the last 20 years. Kobayashi, 46, announced in Netflix Hack Your Health, The Secrets of Your Gut. A documentary film that explores how food, the digestive system, and gut health relates to overall well-being. Kobayashi said decades of overeating for sport has left him with no appetite or no sensation of fullness, which his wife Maggie James said has caused Kobayashi to go days without eating anything at all. That's frightening right there. James said her husband feels his body is broken. I hear people say they're hungry and they look very happy after they've eaten. I'm jealous of those people because I no longer feel hunger. Wow. I hope to live long and a healthy life. Kobayashi jump-started his career in 2000 during an appearance of the Japanese variety show TV Champion, where he consumed 16 bowls of ramen in 1 hour. He set a world record in 2001 at the Coney Island hot dog event, and eating 50 hot dogs in 12 minutes. The previous record at the time was 25 and an eighth. What? He won the mustard yellow belt 6 consecutive years from 2001 to 2006. I'm sure that I've eaten 10,000 hot dogs since the beginning of my career, Kobayashi said in the film. That can't be good. You know what I mean? Kobayashi does not just eat hot dogs. He's the world record holder for different foods. Buffalo wings, lobster rolls, cow brains, hamburgers, tacos, and pizza. The list goes on. I'm Japanese, but I've eaten like an American. I think that's what's damaged my body. I overeat because I'm a competitive eater. When you eat too much, you don't savor the taste or fully enjoy the smell of the food. You ignore your body's signals, like fullness. In order to prepare for competitions, Kobayashi said he would spend months expanding his stomach with food. You have to gradually build up your gut by eating larger and larger amounts of food. Then be sure to work it all off so body fat doesn't put a squeeze on the expansion of your stomach in competition. What the? I start my regimen about 2 months before a big competition, he said in 2004. This is just insane, but this has also caused him to never taste food. He doesn't feel hunger, and he doesn't understand full. He can't, like, I get full. He doesn't know what that feels like anymore. What's influenced me more with the competitive eating is the hot dog. I am worried about my next step and what it will bring, but I'm also excited about my future. This poor guy, he has no sensation of appetite anymore. Never gets hungry. Doesn't know what it's like to be full. Kobayashi. That's just sad. That's just sad, right guys? I say. Kill it and grill it, my friend. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome day. Another day of comedy news, or just news. I don't think there was much comedy in this today. Just basically a news story about people being in a coma. I just think it's kind of interesting because, like I said, I don't know much about it. My Uncle John just passed away a few weeks ago, and they had to put him induced in the last day, or like day and a half. And that's why I really was interested in finding out what he was able to understand and to comprehend, because I saw him and I spoke to him while he was there. And this at least gives me some sort of hope that what I said got to him and he was listening in. I was able to chat for a while with his daughter, my cousin, and one of my other cousins, and we had just some laughs talking about growing up with my uncle and a lot of things we remembered. He was a jokester, funny guy. And I think that, as I said to you earlier, we lose the people in our lives that we love. Just make sure you get a chance to tell them how it impacted your life and how you'll miss them. And you'll always keep their honor and their memory alive through stories and prayer. And that's all we can say and all we can ask, right? Pamela Swan, kill it and grill it. J.E., thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Over on Clappa, Donald Longo, thank you for staying till the end. I appreciate you. Claudia and Zach, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate you guys. Hopefully you can subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can not miss a show. We've got at least 25 left until the streak probably comes to an end, but I do appreciate you guys and for the support you have given me on this run. I hope you have an awesome day. Until later. Try to come back for an early show again for some music. You got to go away. Go away now. got to go away.
You got to go away. Go away right now. You got to go away. Go away right now.
Gotta go sell some real estate. If you need anything, let me know.
You got